how you are feeling now, 10 years later, in granted your freedom, rightfully.
Yeah. When I was convicted, I was convicted with the Musa. So takazongozvisvibisa kuti hasisiro rokutanga inozvagara zvinoitika especially in politics ndoza zvinotangira tachira tisikatanga current yekuti vaimbosungwawo so isusu nokusungwawo kwatakaita yenyaya yekuti tinoziva kuti inenge kuri tingangoti kuundermine democracy. And we do not expect with democracy rambe ichiundermine, especially with autocratic leadership. But takazongozvigamuchira tikazosimbisa nenyaya yekuti taiwana solidarity support kubva kumaparty members, mafriends, macolleagues nehama, and especially in particular pamafriends akaita sana Hupo Yegumbo, ana ENK, KDK nevamwe vari kudiaspora. The list is endless and can't contribute our supposed to spend the whole day. The list has solidarity support at Taiwan. Like my party members, Honorable Molekede, Honorable Tekeshe, Father Malere, but the list is endless because we have members. The normal local structures in party. But they want solidarity support. Takazofara straight. Tichizokuti taakuitwa. And I express my profound gratitude to our lawyers, and in particular, Beatrice Mtetwa, Charles Koramba, Gifting Tis, and Jeremiah Ban. Vangu varipo pataini first chimurenga iyana ndavangada vasina kuyenyiwa competence yavakataridza, and I was also happy, but my happiness was short-lived. In fact, I was also happy because ndiri mujere takakwanisa kuitawo mastudies tichiri muri prison, takazotora diploma republic relations and client services. And currently ndiri kuita takutopedzisa degree program bachelor of science honors in development studies. Takakwanisa kunyorawo mabhuku ndiri mujere matatu, but handisati ndamapublisha nekuti ndinoti ndizobatsirwawo nemaeditors, but I'm expecting kuti very soon atanga achipublisha ndozviro zvatakakwanisa. Tikakwanisawo kuitawo zvimwe ndiri mujere, taita chairperson wefootball association yemujere, ndikaita teacher we level sociology. But my joy was short-lived. Ndasvika kumba nekuti ndakasvikawo mudzimai kusisina. Pamunoona kuti ndo maconsequences manje yeunlawful detention. Ane 8 months, asi mudzimai wangu anga akamira neni kwenguva yakareba, and taidanana, taida kutombochata tiri mujeri, muchato wacho ukazokanzelewa. Handichanyo kublama zvangu nenyaya yekuti semunhu anga achiri wechidiki, pamwe akarudzawo hope akati munhu anenge achida kufarawo marriage, but ndakangosvika kumba iye asisiko neproperty yese yakatakura. Zvokuti zvinezvi handina pekutangira, tofunga munyatsoona kuti I'm very down. Handina pekutangira, ende vana vangu hasati ndakwanisa kuvaccessa kuti ndichivaonawo. Zvinhu zvandandakatarisa kuti ndichasvika kumba ndichifara. Sinzone ukama kuti taitya kukudza uri mujeri kuti pamwe waisafiitika zvakanaka. But zvinhu zvakatoitika manje muna November. Zvitori ne8 months. So ndo mamira zvakaita kuti ndakaenda kujeri ndiri a married man, ndobuda mujeri ndabvatura.
Thank you, Kumatunga. Kuma last, may want to say something in terms of what Leo has asked. How did you take your conviction? How did you take your being acquitted? And also the several things that you did while I see journalist colleagues that the competition Yanyanya in terms of Kumatunga now he has a degree in public relations. We'll be competing with him. Kuma last.
Thank you. I just want to say it has been a disappointing experience. Our justice delivery system leaves a lot to be desired. From the arresting officers up to the end, we have political activists who are masquerading as judicial officers. So this matter has been politicized. If this matter was not politicized, a person like me was supposed to be released at the police station because it was very clear to the police officers who arrested me that I had nothing to do with this case. Actually, at first, I was removed from the people who were supposed to appear in court. I was the first person who was arrested, but you can see that I'm not the first accused. The reason why I'm not the first accused is because initially they had decided that there's no need for me to appear even at the initial court appearance. But when their bosses then came, they then say, because of my name, don't you know this one? This is last Mangam. You can't let him go. So the matter was politicized from the word go. They were not interested in finding out who committed this crime. They just wanted to extract the political capital they can get. So all the people who have been involved in this matter, they've been working for the interest of a particular political ideology, political interest. So it's unfortunate that we have such a justice system in our country. We need to do something as a Zimbabweans. I wouldn't want to see any other Zimbabwean to suffer the way I suffered. My prayer is that I must be the last person to endure this kind of suffering. It's not fair. This is witchcraft. You cannot take someone who was in a church worshiping and then take him to prison. And the judge was actually pretending as if he did us a favor by not sentencing us to death. He actually wanted to us to be killed. So we could have been killed for a crime we know nothing about because of the kind of the justice system we have. So I wouldn't want anyone after me to go through what I went through. So this must stop. Our police, our prosecutors, our judges, everyone who is involved in delivering justice, they must be professional. They are there to serve the interest of the country, not the interest of individuals or a political party. So I think this is a message that we must send as Zimbabweans. This is not an issue about me and Tunga and our lawyers. It's an issue for all Zimbabweans. I think every Zimbabwe is a potential victim to this. You may think today is about us, but tomorrow you can be in our situation. So I think we must send a strong message that we do not want such a justice delivery system. Zimbabwe deserves better.
Kuma last, just like Tuma, you were also studying while in detention, is it?
Yes.
Tell us what were you at the state?
Well, in 2017, I enrolled for a degree program with the Zimbabwe Open University. So I'm in my fourth year. This is my last semester. So I'm expecting to graduate at the end of this year in the theology and religious studies.
Thank you, LJ.
All right, I'd like to introduce you once again. I think the question is to you, Mgomalas. I understand you're a pastor now, or you've been a pastor or a man of God. Um, Looking at what happened to you and probably your family and everything that has happened, do you forgive the state and the people that push you through this? We're talking from a religious point of view. And then we also want to know the way you guys were treated in prison. Was it different from the rest of the people since yours was sort of a political case? Were you treated differently in a bad manner or maybe a good way?
Well, when you are a political prisoner, they treat you worse than an armed robber. You are a threat to them. So even the way your visitors are conducted, even some of the privileges or the rights you are supposed to get as a prisoner. When it's yourself, your issues are not handled by junior officers. Everything, any small thing, the officer in charge has to be involved. So it's very, very difficult to be a political prisoner in this country because you are seen as someone who is very, very dangerous. Even when we are taken to courts, the number of escorts you are given is times 10 the number of escorts that is given to other inmates. So it's very, very traumatizing the way they will be doing, the way they will be treating you as a political prisoner. So yes, we were treated differently in a negative way.
And then maybe, do you forgive the state for what they put you through, or everyone else who put you through this?
Of course, we forgive them. Our focus is not on an individual, but our focus is on the system. Some of these people, you can just tell that they are not doing it from their heart, but they are just have to comply with the dictates of the system. So it is our system that is rotten. It is our system that has to be transformed. So our justice delivery system or even our prison system has to be transformed, and individuals will follow suit.
Thank you, Priti.
Well, maybe my name is Privilege Mushani, the German International Podcast. Just to, in brief, to paint a picture of what it is to be in our prisons. You spent 10 years. I think if it was in terms of seniority, they could have, the people could be saying that you were a senior in prison. How is it being in our prisons?
To be in prison just for a day. If you are in prison for a day and you manage to survive that day, if you have not converted, then you have to start believing in God. The situation in prison is designed in such a way that the moment you step into a prison, you are dead. You start by dying spiritually, then you die physically in terms of everything. The kind of water you drink there, the kind of blanket you are given, the kind of clothes, where you sleep. You would not believe it if I tell you that the space that I was given to sleep, it's plus or minus 30 centimeters. That is my space. So 30 centimeters, then another person 30 centimeters, another 30 person. For all those years, this is how you will be sleeping. So it's very, very terrible. Our prison system is focusing on punishment and retribution. There is zero when it comes to rehabilitation and correcting offenders. So that's why you find out that reoffending is getting high. When someone gets into a prison, those criminals, the next day you find them getting back to the prison because the prison system is not designed in such a way that inmates are corrected and rehabilitated. For example, the education we are talking about, it has nothing to do with the prison system. We have been doing it as individuals. Whether it was supposed to be the responsibility of the prison to facilitate every inmate who wants to study something. They were supposed to be paying our fees. They were supposed to be providing us with learning materials, but we were doing it on our own. They were actually frustrating us because there are so many security measures that you have to go through. Your books are censored. Your assignments are actually censored. Can you imagine? When you are writing an assignment to a professor who should mark it, then a Form 2 Jerry Gad wants to censor that assignment. It's very unfortunate.
Quite said. I think last question, then we come to the end. I think we also need to do rush further assignments. Last question.
Okay, so I want to thank Matsude
very much. I stayed in prison maximum. I went through the very same ordeal. I served 5 years only to be acquitted at the Supreme Court as a soft actor. The first thing, our media have not been doing enough to highlight these issues. That's number one. I want to thank you very much, Manzoga. You know, it was tough. I managed to survive, and I pray that God will lead you. Yes, it is a difficult system, but we can still do something. We have to look at a life beyond the camera, beyond where you are. You got a life to move on, and I pray that you will really move on.
Thank
I
you.
also want to add what that member may say about the integration process with people in prison. It's not everything which is bad, because actually our prison systems will make us qualify, because there are also some officers like the medical staff, manesi acho nemadhokta acho they're very very competent, but panenge pachileka kana kuti medication, because prison inokwanisa kutoshayiwa kana mapirizi zvakaita kana separasiti zvakungofanira nemumba munoshayikwa salt. Mamwe maofficers acho anotoedzawo kutorehabilitata vanhu zvakaita se-education department, but haina zvikwanisiro. Library acho nema-outdated books asingakwanisi kuwanikwa mumasyllabus even secondary kana primary, because pane primary vamwe vanenge vachisitata primary level, vamwe secondary level, vamwe tertiary level. But unoona kuti pane mamwe officers anenge achitoda basa ravo, anenge ari very competent, but zvikwanisiro pane mabig challenges yekuti jeri harina maresources, and hava makoshesi. Imwe nyaya yavanje ndeye-congestion, because kunogara kuchiitwa zvango maamnesty vachitaura kuti vanoda kuita decongest vanhu, and tinonzwa spokesperson wejeri achiti jeri rine capacity yekuchengeta vanhu 17,000. Tisingazivi kuti capacity yavari kutaura ndeyekupa nzvimbo yekurara here, because havana capacity yekupa chikafu. They don't meet the heritage scale. Unbalanced meals ari pa-dietary scale iri well defined in the Prison Act. Havakwanisi kuimita iyoyo, because kutori nefood insecurity just because inenge ari unbalanced diet. Havakwanisi kupfekedza vasungwa sezvo zvakanyorwa futi muzvati provision yekuti clothing vanofanira kunge vachiwana 2 pairs dzemashotsi, 2 pairs dzematrousers. Kunongopiwa macanvas 1 pair dzinogara dzakabharuka to the extent yekutoti munokwanisa kuona mamwe maprisoners ukasatengerwa nevehama kana nesolidarity vanenge vachiprovidewo solidarity kwamuri, munoona munhu akatoisa slippers kuvharidzira shoti rinenge rakabharuka. Saka they don't have the capacity yekuchengeta even more than 1,000 inmates, not 17,000 inmates dzavari kutaura. Hapana capacity iyo. Pese panoitwa amnesty pakwanise kutodecongesta those prisons, because vanobuda vacho it's a small fraction. Vanenge within a week pane patouya vakatowandisa kudarika vacho vakabuda vacho.
Yes, I have one last question. My name is Marshall from coming out as critical. Does it strengthen your resolve with political activists when you're not going to politics because of what you suffered?
Yeah, politics, and I believe it's a calling. Kana munhu achinge atopinda mujeri adhawezokwanisa kutomustrengthena nenyaya yekuti it's a calling, kuti tei tichida kuti tifaitire for human rights at the same time kuimprove malivelihood evanhu.
So I still going to political activism.
Yes.
I think you're also waiting for last response. Last, if they want to respond, you will continue exercising your political rights.
Yeah, I think I'm more than resolved than before. I now to be an activist. I now see the need that every Zimbabwean must take part in trying to create the type of Zimbabwe we want. So my time in prison exposed me to that necessity. It gives me that resolve that I have to do more, if not 10,000 what I've been doing, not for myself, but for our coming generation. You know, when our kids will ask us, where were you when these things were happening, what would we say? So I have an answer, I have an obligation to create a future for my kids, not for myself.
Thank you, Mante Kachale. Well done, eh?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, colleagues.
It has now found that they ought never to have been put on their defense. So when all the others were discharged, I think that was in 2013, or was it a bit later than that? It means they ought to have been discharged then. So from the time they spent in custody when they were unjustly put on their defense to last Friday is a time that was unnecessary. I think all of that we had many bail applications that earned people like my colleague Charles Karamba very strong words from the trial judge, who refused them bail on the basis that the state had a strong case, it had eyewitnesses. But during the trial, the 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 eyewitnesses disappeared, and Nyararai, the inspector who had been claiming that they have eyewitnesses, started talking about informers who had no names, who had no identities, and who were never called. So it was obvious that there never were any eyewitnesses in the first instance. These were just lies that the court was fed. In my view, when a court is told over a long period of time that there are eyewitnesses, when those eyewitnesses are not produced, I think a court has a duty to state in very strong language that the police should not mislead the courts. If at the end of the day there are no eyewitnesses, when you've been telling the court that there are eyewitnesses, there ought to be consequences for that policeman, and there must be severe censure. We know that that did not happen because a certain conclusion was desired. There are also allegations. All of you will remember that when the arrests were done, he actually had a broken wrist, and his hand was in plaster because the police were violent and beat him up to such an extent that they fractured a bone on his arm. The magistrate ordered that there be an investigation into that, and we all know that nothing came out of those investigations. We know that not a single sentence was written by the trial judge to deal with that clear assault, which ought to have earned those who were responsible time in prison. My view is that where that happens, really the courts have to be very strong in making it clear that when you assault suspects, you must face the criminal consequences of that. You'll also recall that he was also assaulted when he was in Matapi, and the police claimed not to know who had assaulted him, and yet the police were the holders of the keys to the cells. They are the ones who opened the cells to whoever assaulted them. Again, the courts have been completely mum on those grievous violations of their rights. Being a suspect is not justification for ill treatment and for assaulting persons that the law presumes to be innocent. So I feel very strongly that our justice delivery system is not strong in getting the police to do things properly. So Nyararai will go and do exactly what he did with these guys in future because there's no consequence for him. The only thing that he probably got was a promotion. He probably has a higher rank now. And so it means we'll have these violations going on over and over again. I think those